This is Creepy and Geeky. Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'll be talking to Violet Hammond about the MCU Disney Plus show Agatha All Along. But first, Donna and I are talking about the stuff we got into this last week. How's it going, Donna?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. How has it been for you, now that things have settled? I know it's been kinda topsy-turvy with all of the stuff that happened at your, place of employment with the storm and all that stuff.
Yeah. So we were supposed to it was supposed to take a couple of weeks and then it ended up only taking a couple of days. So they were back in business within 2 or 3 days.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So I was back there this weekend, although it's been kind of up and down. And I'm probably, on the down low, I'm probably going to be moving on. So
It's not really on the download we're talking about.
I know. But
Oh
no,
my gosh.
I had signed up for DoorDash because I was expecting to be out of work for a minimum of a few
Right.
weeks is what we were told. So I started up with DoorDash, and DoorDash will just give me a little bit more flexibility
Mhm.
when I need to do stuff. Like if I need to take a day off, yeah, I can just take it off. I don't have to do something in advance and get permission
Yeah, and put
and
in
everything
PTO
else.
and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll there's going to be a trade-off. Of course, I'll probably make a little less money maybe because I won't have that
But the
hourly
freedom,
wage,
peace of
but the
mind is
freedom will
pretty
help.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good week anyway, but it hasn't been bad at all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've had a pretty good week myself. It's not been a grueling work week. I mean, I would prefer
that's
to have
good.
the freedom
Yeah.
not to clock in, but I mean, I'm surviving and I just got through watching the season 2 finale of Severance, and so I'm kind of trying to get over the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I gotta actually
Oh
watch
my
that show.
gosh.
I have
Yeah,
not
I
watched
fully
any of it
plan
yet.
on doing some episode recaps of, further down the line because it was devastating. But other than that, I'm good.
That's good. Good, good, good. All right. Well, why don't we just go ahead and jump right into stuff? Why don't you go ahead and start us off with something new this week?
Yeah, so I really only have about 3 trailers that I
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
all I
talk about.
got.
What? You didn't go to a movie this week?
I did not. I did not. I didn't. We didn't. There wasn't really anything out that I
Mhm.
was hankering to see.
Yeah.
I think Snow White came out this week, so I was just I'm not huge into that, and then I heard
Mhm.
bad reviews about it too.
Yeah,
So
I keep hearing a
um,
lot of that too, but
I hear Rachel Zegler's really good in it, but everything else has been bleh. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I like Rachel Zegler, so but not enough to go see the movie. So
well, I have a feeling that you're definitely gonna be seeing, what, Death of a Unicorn? That's coming,
oh
and The
yeah.
Woman are you gonna go see The Woman in the Yard?
Probably. I imagine I will. It looks good.
I like how you just went kinda high. "Probably?" You're not sure.
Well, it just
Um,
depends. It just depends on what happens. It's one of the Woman in the Yard is one of those ones that looks interesting.
yeah,
And I'll go if it's one of those good weeks where I don't have something else that pops up in the way. So, because sometimes there's something that'll get in the way where I'm just I don't really feel like going to the movies this week. Because normally I go on Thursdays when the movie
mhm.
drops. And so if there's something that pops up and I'm just maybe I'm tired or, just out of sorts enough that I'm just meh, I don't really want to go to the movies. Then it'd probably just be the one I miss. But that being said, I do want to see it. So I'm hoping I do get a chance to
Yeah.
see it.
I
So
really hope the buzz is good about it, but,
yeah.
I'm digressing already. The very first trailer I wanna talk about, and we may double up on some of these, so if we do, no big whoop, but I've
Yeah.
got, The Ugly Stepsister. Have you seen the
I
trailer
did
for
not.
that?
I did not. I saw it, it popped up on my feed. I hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, this one is, definitely gonna be streaming on Shudder at some point, but basically, we have the ugly stepsister, as we all know from the Cinderella story, Elvira, who's attempting to outshine her stunning stepsister, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to attract the prince's attention. There's a lot of body horror
Mm.
feel coming from this one. We see her having her nose kind of augmented. The trailer even ends with a scene of her seeing the slipper and having her feet in a position to maybe amputate some toes. It's going to
Oh
be pretty
wow.
gross, yeah. But
Interesting.
if you've ever read the actual Grimm story, it's pretty gross. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pretty
Mm, it's
gross
pretty
story.
grim.
Yeah, pretty. Where's the rim shot? Then
Yeah.
but if you get a chance, definitely go check out that trailer. It doesn't tell you a whole lot, but it looks like it is gonna be very gruesome along with that kind of tone of just what the original story of Cinderella and how grotesque it will get. Those Grimm stories are dark as hell.
Yeah.
Um, and, everybody always gets the watered down version, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be intense. So if you get a chance, definitely check out the trailer for The Ugly Stepsister.
All right, cool. All right. Well, my first thing is also a trailer. I just have three trailers as well this week. So, but yeah, my first trailer is for a new TV series coming on Max uh, in May called Duster.
That was one of
Uh,
mine. I love this trailer.
this
Go ahead,
trailer is
I'll
great.
let you talk.
I didn't even know, but this is a show co-created by J.J. Abrams.
Mhm.
So um, I don't remember if it actually says it in the trailer. It may say it in the trailer, um, but it's this is I guess it's set in 1972 in the American Southwest. So it's I know it was filmed in Arizona and New Mexico, and so at least they're getting the area specific. So,
Mhm.
but it's got Josh Holloway from Lost and Keith David in it, as well as Rachel Hilson. So they're like the three main cast members. But yeah, it's Rachel Hilson plays
Mhm.
a new FBI agent who's trying to recruit Josh Holloway to help stop some crime kind of stuff. But yeah, no, this looks fantastic. Very much has that 70s feel to it. Everything's like period specific. Um, and it's nice to see Josh Holloway doing something. I know he's been popping up in things, throughout the years after Lost.
Right.
But this is also the first show that J.J. Abrams has uh, created or co-created since 2010. That was last time he created a show. So he's been executive producing shows, but hasn't created a new show in a long time. I think because he started moving off into the movie world for a bit.
Right.
So it's nice to see him coming back because the shows he did co-create were some of my favorites: Alias, Lost, Fringe. Those were great. So so it's nice to see him come back. I'm not expecting any kind of crazy, um, sci-fi shenanigans like in those other shows, but you never know. Maybe there'll be some kind of goofy little mystery going on. But
I mean, I
I,
like the feel of the overall
yeah.
tone of that trailer. It just, the '70s gear, all of the retro look,
Hmm.
the cars. You got a little bit of the uh driver aspect of like Vanishing Point. The cars just look
Yeah.
really cool. We're gonna get a lot of car chases, a lot of shootouts. And I even like the little freeze frame they did at the end of it with
Yeah.
her and him kind of, getting ready to duke it out. So it's gonna be fun. And plus, Keith David, my God. I'll watch anything he does. I don't
All
care.
right. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what it says the premise. The series set in the Southwest in 1972 follows the FBI's first black woman agent working to stop a crime syndicate with the assistance of a talented getaway driver. So the getaway driver is Josh Holloway. So
Yeah, I'm 100% sold.
yeah. No, it's totally it looks great. Plus, we get Greg Grunberg, who's always in J.J. Abrams stuff. They're like
Of course.
great friends. Corbin Burnson's in a recurring role. Donal Logue is in this in a recurring role. So I'm like perfect. Like this looks great. And so looks and sounds
What's
great. I'm
Josh
sold.
Holloway's hair looks great too. It's like all long,
Right?
like kind of feathered looking.
Right? So
It's
it's a
gonna be
lot cleaner than it
exciting.
looked on
On
Lost.
Lost?
So
I mean, I've seen this guy with short hair. He needs long hair. I'm sorry. He just needs it.
yeah,
Short
he's one
hair
of
is
those
not
guys.
a
Like
good
he looks good with short hair. Don't get me wrong, he does, but he just has that great look with the long hair.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Very much
yeah,
looking forward to that show.
yes, absolutely. All right, what's your next thing?
So my next trailer is Together. That is a new
Yes,
body horror. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen it. I saw the first trailer for it. I knew there was a second trailer that came up. And I had, or maybe this is the first trailer. I
This
think
is the first trailer.
I may have seen it in the theater
Yeah.
before, like maybe a few weeks back, and now it's popping up online. So,
Yeah, this one, it's directed by Michael Shanks and it stars Dave Franco and Allison Brie, who are married in real life.
mhm.
But basically, the premise is a couple moves to a countryside, and their move triggers a supernatural incident that alters their relationship, existence, and physical form. And from the looks of this teaser trailer, it looks like they may be morphed together, hence the name Together.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They didn't give you much, but what they did give on this teaser trailer, I'm super excited. But I'm a body horror person anyway, so I'm super excited to see how this is going to turn. It's going to
Gonna
be
get some
gross.
gonna get some society action going on here, huh?
Exactly, the shunting.
The
As
shunting.
soon as my husband saw that, he's like, "Ooh, they're gonna is somebody shunting. See, this is why we should shunt." I said, "No, sir, we should not. We should not ever shunt." But I love the fact that Neon is kind of getting, I mean, they've always done horror movies, but
Yeah, but it seems
with
like
the
they're
monkey
really
and
doing it lately, like
yeah, they're on a
like heavy
roll.
push. Yeah. I'm with it, They're kind of like, they're doing an A24. They're kind of doing A24 level. And whereas
Mhm.
A24 does horror, they do a lot more like non-horror stuff as well. And
Right.
Neon seems to just be like focusing heavy on horror now.
Right,
So
like they're just pushing the chips all in and they're just
yeah.
going for it. And so I'm 100% on board to see how this is gonna play out. Because in the teaser they show like two dogs looking at each other, and then I'm assuming these dogs are gonna get morphed
Oh
together.
my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I'm always excited, but body horror is just one of my absolute favorite things to see.
All right. Okay. My next trailer is there's a new trailer for the Ballerina movie, which is set in the world of John Wick. This is the Anna de Armas movie. I'm assuming if this does well, she'll get her own continuing franchise.
Absolutely. Of course she
And this
will.
this looks great though too. It looks really really good. I mean, it's definitely set in that high action, very brutal world of John Wick. So it's the trailers are chock full of everything that you love about those movies, if you love those movies, which I do. So, but yeah, so I'm excited for this one because it looks like a lot of fun, and Anna Darmus is always has been great in everything I've seen her in. I haven't seen her in everything, but the things I have seen her in, she's been really good in. So, all right, did you have anything else, or did I? Because I said did the Duster thing, you're out now.
Yeah, I'm out now. That was that's my third one. That's
Sorry,
okay.
that was like my
No.
big one that I really wanted to talk about. So I was like, oh, I gotta talk about that one. So yeah, so all right, so I got one more. So Netflix dropped a trailer for Happy Gilmore 2,
Oh my gosh.
which I mean, I'm okay with Adam Sandler. Like I don't love everything he does, and a lot of his stuff gets really stupid. And that's fine. Like I think that he's really good at doing things on different levels. Like he can make the
Mhm.
really good serious thing. He can make like the kind of like the actually really funny kind of heartfelt comedies, and then you can make the really dumb stuff that like is just like super sophomore juvenile stuff. Um, and that's good. I like the middle ground stuff mostly, like the stuff that's really kind of silly but has a heart to it. And the first Happy Gilmore is a really good fun movie. So this one looks interesting. It looks fun too. Looks like obviously Happy Gilmore is probably like got kids, and um, you know he's coming back to golf after being
So
away from it for a
the
while.
question I have about this is Shooter McGavin coming back? Is
From
he?
what I understand, he's in it too.
You gotta be shitting
So
me,
yeah,
seriously.
they've got what's her name? The love interest from the first one.
Yeah, I don't remember what her name was, but
I can't think of her name either. She went on to play the mom in Modern Family.
oh,
Um,
that's right, she
yeah, so
is.
she's back.
Julie something. I gotta look it up because
Yeah,
that's gonna bother me. Sorry.
no,
It's
it's
gonna
fine.
bother me.
Yeah,
I didn't know she was coming back for
yeah,
this.
she's
Oh
back
my
for it
gosh.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Julie Bowen. That was
yeah,
gonna
Julie
kill
Bowen.
me. I can't believe they're actually getting the guy who plays Shooter McGavin back. And it's a shame because Carl Weathers is gone, and it'd
Yeah,
been nice for him to come back again too.
yeah. So they got everybody back except for Carl Weathers. So Ben
Wow.
Stiller's back as the orderly like guy,
Oh no.
the orderly
Oh,
character.
he's
Yeah,
so mean.
yeah. So
I'll end up watching it. Look, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, I will watch those all day, every day for some reason. Like you said, they're dumb little silly movies, but they do have a sweetness to
yeah,
it. There's a heart to it. And I find myself watching all of them even when I end up rolling my eyes at them, but I do enjoy them. Like those are my two favorites. So
yeah.
I'm a little happy now that you said that that's gonna be
Yeah, no, definitely comes out July 25th on Netflix. So should be a lot of fun if you like Adam Sandler's brand of stuff, especially if you like the first Happy Gilmore. I mean,
yeah.
give it a watch. It might not be as good. It probably won't be as good. But it'll be uh at least hopefully somewhat amusing.
Yeah. I'm sure it will.
So all right. Well, before we move on to the rest of the show, why don't you let people know what you got going on your show this week?
Okay, so I am nearing close to the end of my Women in Horror series, but I'm going to be talking about The Velvet Vampire, a 1971 film that was
Mm,
directed by Stephanie Rothman. And Stephanie Rothman was one of the first kind of exploitation female directors. She worked under Roger Corman, and I got a lot to say about the Velvet Vampire. I have a lot
mm.
of problems with it, but I also have
Oh.
a huge love for it. So you'll just have to listen. But it has a bisexual vampire. If that doesn't titillate you, I don't know
There
what
you
will.
go. Yeah. No, and I mean, yeah, like anybody coming out of the George Corman school of filmmaking, basically, unofficial school, it's definitely going to be exploitation, and it's he always, as much as he was really good about hiring women directors, and stuff like that, he still had a pretty firm hand on things and was still like, yeah, you still got to have all the boobs and stuff,
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
that needs to sell, it needs to sell. So, but I like that even amongst that, he was like, yeah, you got to do that. But they were still allowed to like craft the stories around
Right.
things like that. So to make it, less, I guess maybe less blatantly exploitative. So, but yeah. All right. Well, that sounds cool. We'll definitely have to check out that episode.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, stay tuned. Wait after the break to listen to Violet Hammond and I talk about Agatha All Along. But until next week, stay creepy. On today's episode, I'm talking about the Disney Plus MCU series Agatha All Along with returning guest Violet Hammond. Violet is the managing director of a theater in New York, and she's also been a guest on several other podcasts, including Frame to Frame, Movieversaries, Den of Ten, and more. Welcome back to the show, Violet.
Yay, thanks for having me. I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Always good to have you back. Talking some MCU goodness.
Yay. Oh, super goodness. This one.
Well, this one you and I talked a
Whoa.
lot about during while it was coming out. You and I were
Yes.
chatting back and forth about the episodes and everything, and having a good time with that as it was coming out. So of course it was great.
Mm-hmm.
We it was a shoe in that you would come on, so to
Yes.
talk about it on the
Well,
show itself.
this is another one of those instances where, like, if we were on TV, my Chiron would say, like, creepy and geeky WandaVision correspondent, because it did
Right,
WandaVision. I'm always on here yelling about the
right,
Maximoffs in some way, shape, or
right.
form. So,
Well, that's what's funny is I'm doing WandaVision again over there on the Voices from the Mausoleum YouTube channel
yeah.
for my other show, Horrific Heroes. So I'm doing that. That episode will be those episodes will be coming out right around the same time. Well, no, all those episodes should already be out by the time this episode comes out. So, and we kind of went backwards. We did a run on Agatha along when it was coming out, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of got bunched up a little bit, but and then we just did an episode on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So we kind
Nice.
of, and now we've just, as of this airing, we'll just completed the WandaVision series of episodes as well. So yeah, so we're kind of going backwards
You're
in the
you're
magical timeline there, but
well,
yeah.
you're like Lilia, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Your
Yeah,
path
just
winds out of time.
we're just all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll get into that because I
Mhm.
really like that one. But yeah. Um yeah, let's jump in with this. I think that this was great. I think this is another one of those instances where Marvel didn't have a plan for this show when they made WandaVision. I don't think the Agatha All Along was even on their radar. They were just like, okay, well, we'll put out WandaVision. We'll see what goes from there. And then when Catherine Hahn became the breakout character, they were like, let's grab a hold of this and
Mhm.
do this as a series now because people will love this because they
Yeah.
loved her and they loved the whole song and everything. And it's very similar to I was just talking about this about how Echo was also a show that I don't think they had prepared for either. They didn't
Mhm.
they there may have been like maybe on the back burner they were like maybe we can do an Echo show, but once her character kind of um became popular via Hawkeye, that's when they were like, "Hey, let's do that." So,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I spent my morning watching the making of on the Marvel YouTube channel of this because
which is still
I
this
had
the
never
most
watched
bizarre
it.
thing too is that they released it on YouTube and they still haven't put it on Disney Plus.
It's not on Disney Plus, it's on
It's
the
the
YouTube
most
channel. Yeah.
bizarre thing ever, and I haven't been able to watch it yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
But you're kind of like you really hit the nail on the head there though, kind of because it starts out with Jack Schaefer, who was the creator and showrunner for WandaVision,
yeah,
and how she got her Marvel deal based on how well WandaVision was received. And every pitch that she gave them about her next project had Agatha involved in it somehow. Just like in terms of like, I'm gonna do this show, and then like in like the fourth or fifth episode, Agatha will show up. Like she just was so enamored with this character that
right.
Kevin Feige finally just said, "You know what? Like, why don't you
Let's just
just
make an
make
Agatha
Agatha
show.
the
Yeah,
show?" And
that's too
even
funny.
Catherine Hahn saying that when she got the phone call, it was, "Oh, they probably want me to cameo in a movie. They probably,
Yeah, yeah,
Agatha will
not
show
a
up or
whole
something."
show. Yeah,
Yeah, and they said, "How about your show?" And she freaked out, like, understandably so. But yeah, it was, not to not to be all like silly and internet talk, but WandaVision was like the moment. Like when all that came out
right.
and everybody was, still kind of stuck in their houses. We talked about this on the
Yeah,
WandaVision episode. Week to week, everyone was watching that new episode and then all on the internet with their
yeah,
theories and everybody was talking and how
yeah,
I mentioned this when I talked about the first two episodes on 616, how this show coming out, Agatha All Along, and those 2 episodes dropping, it was that same kind of, like, excitement and feeling. The enjoyment of the MCU was like, "Back, we're back, baby. We're gonna watch this show week to week. We're gonna be talking about our theories all week," and I loved seeing that happen.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
you and I have been together through this slump. I hate calling it a slump, but,
Yeah.
it was nice to reclaim the magic.
Right.
Ha ha, ha ha, waka waka, but that's kinda what this show
Waka waka.
did. Waka waka.
Are we not turning this into a Muppets
We're
podcast,
not
please?
going Muppets yet, not yet.
It could easily become a Muppets podcast.
I know, we need to rein it in today. There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. 9 episodes.
I know.
But yeah, when we yeah, I'm I don't want to synopsize, but I think I
Mhm.
just want to hit the big beats and stuff and talk about mostly about the overall concepts and the characters and stuff like that, because I think that's more worth talking about than really synopsizing things. But so I
Yeah.
think that the major part of it is that the conceit of WandaVision was that like each episode was reminiscent of a era in sitcoms.
Mhm.
So you had 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And um, and within that you had stuff going on outside of it. But it was something that carried over into Agatha All Along to a degree. And it felt
Right.
more like it honestly felt like more like they did um, where they were still doing the time thing, like
Mhm.
the eras thing. It wasn't necessarily tied to TV shows, except for the first episode.
Right.
First episode is like literally a take on like Mayor of Easttown
Yes.
show, and it was
Agnes of
Agnes of
Westview.
Agnes of Westview. Um, and so I love that we kind of jump back into the world of Westview, and it's still like that. It's you
Yeah.
have the same like the same people popping up as
Mhm.
new characters in this, um, because of whatever's going on, and you're just like throughout that first episode, you're just kind of like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And I
That's what
love
I
that.
thought, that we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
gonna do, like, a
Well, I thought
different
we
show
were,
every time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that, that was what everybody thought. Um, and that was exactly what they wanted us all to think, because they didn't want
Mhm.
you to um really they wanted to at least have some familiarity, like bringing it
Yes.
in that way, and then
Mhm.
shaking it up about midway through, and then going, nope, this isn't exactly the same.
No.
This is gonna be a totally different beast, um and then introducing some of the characters and everything, and then we get the introduction of Aubrey Plaza,
Mhm.
which I love. Aubrey Plaza, I've loved her since
Yes.
Parks and Rec.
Yep.
She's phenomenal, and she's such a great addition to the MCU. um and just everything that happened in that first episode was so much fun. We get introduced to the teen, who can't
Mhm.
whose voice or whose name cannot be revealed,
Yep.
for whatever reason. We get the Salem Seven. We get all the other members of the coven.
Mhm.
Um, like it's a weirdly jam packed first episode.
Well,
Well, no,
it's
it's
2
like it's
episodes.
2 episodes, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm getting it mixed up, because they did drop both episodes the same day,
Yes.
and
They
so
did.
yeah, so we get, because that first episode is more of her shaking off um
The
the
spell.
the spell that she was
Yeah.
still under from
From Wanda.
Wanda at the end of WandaVision. So because
Yes, which I
Wanda,
loved. I
yeah,
loved that they didn't just, like, wave it away. I
yeah,
loved that we had that whole episode, and then later on got the basic, not like it's a reveal, but, like, yeah, kind of the reveal that it's been 3 years of her
yeah.
stuck in a spell doing all this
But
weird
only
stuff, and
her,
that
and that's what's
but only
funny about it.
her and everyone else in the town,
Just think
they
she's
are
a kook.
no, they're taking care of her. They're
Yeah, but
taking
like
care of
she's
her
the
because they know what it feels like.
yeah,
They were stuck in the same spell. So I loved
right.
showing that kind of like the compassion of Westview and the way that they talk about Wanda. How,
Right.
like, oh, we try not to say her name,
Yeah.
Mrs. Hart, Sharon hates being called Mrs. Hart because it just brings up all that trauma. Like
Mhm.
it made the things that happened in WandaVision more real and gave it more gravity. And that's something that I really love about both of these shows, that it takes the fantastical things that are happening and what could be waved away as just a comic book show and make them so real and true to human experiences.
Right. No, absolutely. No, and it's just, it's like when she finally comes out of it, that's when you realize that she she was stuck in this like, spell, and that she was the only one who was seeing things like that, and that
Mhm.
everybody else in the town has just been living their lives and helping her, but also just dealing with her like weirdly being like, trying to go around solving fake crimes and stuff. Which you got to figure she's probably been doing for these last 3 years. She's been stuck in this Agnes of Easttown like
Probably.
vibe,
Or
and
switching shows, you never
yeah, she
know.
could
We
have been
only
switching
see the
show.
one
Yeah,
show, yeah.
yeah. So it's really fun because people are just like, wait, does she thinks she's solving crimes,
Yeah.
and it's such a funny little uh aspect of what was going on. Um, what was I gonna say? So we get our first bit of MCU nudity in this
Mhm.
as well. Um, have to bring that up. And apparently that was a Catherine Hahn idea too.
Sounds like her.
So right. She's like, I just want to show off my tushy. Um, but yeah. So it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, okay. So, it's like hearing the F word in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's like it's just such a shock because we're so far deep into the MCU at this point that you're not expecting um like something of that nature, something more adult, because we've been so used to the
Right.
PG-13 kind of sanitized kind of uh nature of Marvel. Because I mean, like, and I know there's some people out there who are like, there's no sex in Marvel and everything. It's like, well, that's because they got to do stuff to the widest audience
Yeah.
possible. This is supposed to be somewhat family friendly. They're trying
Yes.
not only for that, but also for the fact that they're trying to go into all the other international markets as well. And so they're
Mhm.
trying to make what's the broadest, most appealing product that they can without offending sensibilities everywhere.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
they can make stuff. They can make an R-rated. Look, they made Deadpool and Wolverine. Um,
Yes, they did.
and and that obviously was a big hit. It's going to be a big hit in other countries and stuff like that. But in some countries, it's not going to play. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's you have to balance that in ways. And so when it does pop up once in a while, you're just like, oh, okay, there's the F word, there's Catherine Hahn's butt.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, I'm sure they've also sanitized that in other locations as well. They just kind of clip that scene out, for
Probably, yeah, you don't
international
see her turn
markets.
around and go back in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought it
We
was a funny anomaly.
we did see Thor in Thor: Love and Thunder, though,
That's
too.
true.
He
We
was the
did.
first
You're
one.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. He is the first one.
This is the first female
No,
nudity, I
but yeah,
guess. Yeah.
yeah,
But, yeah,
but
but, yeah, they've been sprinkling
sorry, I'm
in
gonna
some
quickly
new
become a
things.
child about butts. But Tushy.
But, yes. I remember being surprised on the first watch. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay, they're gonna do that kinda thing where she's covered by, like, leaves or
like a
something," but
hedge or
then
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
something's gonna but
or
then
her
nope, she
hair.
just turned
Yeah.
around, went right back in the house, and I remember just going, "Oh, okay.
No, and there's the
Well,
booty.
alright then." And
It's
there was
like
Herb. I love
yes,
Herb.
yes. No, I thought it was. Here's the thing. Like I'm obviously not a prude about nudity or anything like that. I watch a lot of horror movies and there's a lot of nudity in those.
Mhm.
And so, but again, it was that momentary like, oh, there's some booty in my MCU.
There is.
There's some MCU in my booty. No, wait, that sounded wrong.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I
Anyway.
was trying to go for the Reese's peanut butter cup joke, but it didn't quite work out. Nobody's gonna get that reference because they're not old like me. So Reese's peanut butter used to have an ad campaign. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
explain it. Anyway, but I got to be somewhat chaotic when I'm on here with you.
Always.
Um,
Always. I was
but
gonna
yeah,
say this is a tangent. We've
exactly.
officially hit the tangent.
We've tangentized.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, so that first episode is a lot of fun because you get a lot of the first two episodes because there's a
Mhm.
lot going on um when uh when Agatha the spell breaks for her because it's breaking throughout the episode. It's not fully broken. It's starting to wear off on her. But then once she meets the teen, it wears off, or he helps knock it loose more.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we find out later on that he does more than what you see in that first episode.
Right.
And then so it's kind of a combo of Rio finding her
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and Teen getting in there and making her
yeah.
doubt in her brain, and then when she's able to, that is like, when Rio says, "That's it, claw your way out," and she's
Yes.
literally tearing off all of the different
All the
costumes,
layers that she
the
had on
layers of
Agatha. Yeah,
WandaVision,
yeah.
and
On
the
WandaVision, yeah.
oh, yeah, definitely watch on YouTube the making of, because so much
Yeah,
of that
I
was
need to.
practical. He
Yeah,
theatrically did it where he had so much of that underdressed, and it was
yeah.
choreographed,
That's
which for
crazy.
me, I did wardrobe
Yeah,
on off Broadway, so that I just assumed that they cut that scene to oblivion, that she took off one thing and then they cut, but a lot of that was actually filmed as the pieces going one
yeah,
after the other, and it's fascinating.
yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, no, I love that scene because she like, she goes off down like on the bottom and then comes back up and she's a different, differently dressed and
Yes.
everything like that. I assumed it was all practical and done on set, but
Yeah.
yeah, because it was so well done that I figured they must have at least attempted it. Maybe did a little bit of it like through editing, but
Yeah.
most of it would have been on screen. But yeah,
Mm.
no, I love when they do stuff like that when things are more practical and on
Yes.
camera and stuff like that. Things, it's that and I mean it goes into the theatricality of who Agatha is as well. So
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
it's
Perfect time to slide in that this had one of the lowest budgets
yeah.
of an
Oh yeah, no,
MCU
this had a
show,
hugely low budget. Most
because
of
they
this
were
was actually
doing everything
practical. Yeah.
practical, and it looks so much better.
This is what like I'm not against CGI at all. Like I get what they do and I love when you look at stuff like that that's on the behind the scenes of Marvel stuff and everything like that. Like I go back to Shang-Chi and the bus
Mhm.
fight scene. Large parts of that are CGI. They're not really traveling down the streets of San Francisco and wrecking stuff and everything like that.
Mhm.
Although they probably were doing some of that and they were just kind of like matching shots and everything like that. But most of the actual fight was on a stage with a green screen behind them
Yes.
and on like half a bus. Like it wasn't even a full like actual bus set. But that's what I like about it too, is that when they mix it well, and I think that's what we're starting to get we're starting to get this good mixture of that where you have these it's the CGI background because you can't film in New York or San Francisco and wreck stuff. So you've got to, put it in a place that you can wreck things
Mhm.
and or you can shoot in areas like, they mostly shoot here in Georgia. And then they, will um just insert those backgrounds. The great thing about Agatha All Along was that because uh, most of the episodes were filmed on the Witch's Road,
Mhm.
that they were able to just make that all on sets because none of it
Yes.
had to be outside. It was all like because the story conceit of it is that it's like underground,
Mhm.
and so they so I love how much they did practical in this because they didn't have to worry about, okay, well let's set this in a place somewhere and have to do digital backgrounds and everything. And so, it just, I don't know, it made everything, because it's practical, because it's real and everything, that it feels more real, of course,
Mhm.
than a lot of that digital stuff. And
Yeah.
obviously they still had to use digital sometimes. I mean, the magical effects and sometimes the creature effects and stuff like that. That's fine. But that's
Yeah.
what I love about that great mixture of it. And rather than
Mhm.
relying on digital to, you know, do things later on, it was just, it was fun to have them actually there on set doing everything, having a lot of fun with that. So
Right. Literally walking the road.
yeah, literally walking the road,
Yeah.
because they did. So I mean, I think that was a fun bit of it, because she's like the once she meets the teen, who she can't say his
Mhm.
name, or he can't say his name. He says his name, but you can't
He
tell what
says it,
it
but you
is.
can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
sigil.
yeah, his sigil. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I thought was great too, because like there's always that moment like where somebody says something like in a movie or something like that, but you could read their lips.
Yeah.
And they had this nice thing
They
that went over
covered
his
it up.
mouth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that covered up his mouth to do that. But yeah, once you meet him and he's got something going on, it was the again, this is one of those worst kept secrets that
Oh,
the
I
MCU
know.
has too. Everybody predicted that he was
Billy.
Billy,
Yeah.
one of Wanda's sons, and the character known as Wiccan in the comic books. And turned out they were all right. But you
Yes,
don't find
but
out
the
until,
reveal of it
oh, the
was
reveal was fucking
so
great. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that I was like, "This is totally who this is."
Yeah.
I still lost my damn mind. I
Oh
really
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I rewound it and watched it like 15 times, and then the next day we listened to, You Should See Me in a Crown, like, over and over and over again. 'Cause what a needle drop.
Oh no.
Holy
No,
cannoli.
we're gonna get into that too,
Ugh.
because we gotta talk about that. Like every other episode, and it drove me crazy that they didn't do it in the ninth episode. But every odd numbered episode, first, third, fifth, and seventh, they did a great needle drop at the end. It didn't
Yeah.
happen in the even numbered episodes. But so I was disappointed that in the ninth last episode they didn't do a great needle drop. I was like, what? Come on, they were supposed to do another one. But yeah, no, that one was really good. That one was great. You Should See Me in a Crown was just like, oh, perfect needle drop. And
I
I'm like,
know.
look, I'm not even a Billie Eilish fan. Like most of her music is, I don't know. I haven't been able to get into it. Like
Me either,
she's too
but
whisper. I think it's just because she's too
it's her
whispery most
whisper
of the time.
singing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's her whisper singing, and that one
Yeah.
suffers from that too. The only one, and I think it's so funny too, because I mentioned this to my daughter. The only one that I've really liked of hers is that newish one of hers, that Birds of a Feather. Um, and that one's a really good song. But that one's like unusual for her because she's actually singing through the
She's
whole
actually
thing.
singing.
And not that she's not singing, she's just not
I
whisper
get it.
singing.
No, I get it.
And then I think it's funny because my daughter's like, "Oh yeah, that's one I don't like," and I'm like, "Of course, it's the one I like."
Mhm.
So, but she likes Billy most of the other time, and I'm like, "You're so weird. You like that whisper music stuff." Here's my old man pop music.
I can't. No, I'm not a big fan either, but that song mixed with that
Oh
moment,
yeah, no, that moment was
perfection.
so good, and
Perfection.
that like yeah, it was just yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, we skipped way ahead,
it's okay.
but like I said, we're not really
We're not gonna
synopsizing.
not at
Um,
all, no.
but like, I think that's what was great about the characters, that just for the most part, you like, even though we all knew we were waiting for that moment and
Mhm.
everything, it was still um the build up to him, the reveal was great, because
Yeah,
he just was being an interesting neophyte magician character. um and then he's the one who spurs her on to um get into the witch's road. um and and we're not going to jump ahead to the end, but
mhm, mhm.
she's like, okay, well, let's go gather some witches to create this coven, because we need a coven um to get into the witch's road.
Yes.
And so she's like, okay, so she goes to I think Lilia first.
Lilia first. She's
And
in her little tarot card reading
yeah,
place. Yep.
and Lilia.
Broadway legend Patti LuPone.
Yes. And and this is
Legend.
one of those people who I haven't really cared for in the past. Like I don't have like, especially because I'm not a musical person, so
Mm-hmm.
like none of that has appealed to me. But she'd previously been on episodes of Steven Universe, so I knew her through there. Um and I'm a big Steven Universe fan. Um and so seeing her in this, but seeing her in this was a different beast altogether. I loved her in this. She
Yes.
was she was so good. It's so funny. Um, and I can see where everybody's loved her.
Yep.
And I love that her and Aubrey Plaza lived together during the
Yes.
making of this because they are
Yeah.
they are chaos together.
Yep.
Like they just like, I guess it just looks like they fed on each other like during that process. And so I was just like, this is so good.
Yes.
You
It's
got to
absolute perfection.
watch some of the marketing, some of the interviews and stuff like that, the things that they did together outside of it during the course of this show coming out and everything like that. If you go back and watch some of that, it's so fun. I need to go back and watch their Hot Ones episode that they did together. Because I haven't seen that one yet. But yeah, it's it's just they obviously a lot of fun. So Patti LuPone is Lilia, and then at the end of that, first you have her like screaming at things
Mhm.
that aren't there, and so she just seems like she's like this you know person who's like just getting old and insane.
Yep.
Um, and but she gives them a list of people who could be on in the coven,
Mhm. With her
and
own
her
name on
name
it.
is on the list.
So,
But there's a bunch of names, and then at the end there's a black heart.
yep.
So they run down the rest of the names, and they get oh my gosh, you probably have
Jen. Yeah.
Jen
Jen Kale says she
Jen
was
Kale, Jennifer
Lamada.
Kale.
Yep. Yeah.
She's a lifestyle guru
Mhm.
type of person
Yep.
with all the fancy
Skincare.
skincare products and
Yep.
everything like that. So she's the potions witch. You find
Mhm.
out, and you've got Lilia, who's the what, the seer or something. I don't remember exactly what kind of witch she is. Um,
She's the diviner. She's the
yes,
divination witch. Yes.
yes,
So
yes,
Lily
yes.
is the
There you go.
divination witch, and then Alice is the protection
The
witch.
protection witch, yeah,
And
and
they don't have a green witch,
the green witch, yeah,
who is the black heart on the list.
right. And so they are, but you suspect um, that Agatha knows exactly who the Green Witch is, symbolized by the black heart, because she
Well,
gets
you should already know because she says it in the first episode. That's the
exactly.
thing. She
No,
says to her,
exactly.
yeah, she's like, "You don't have a heart. I do have a heart. It's black,
Yes,
and it beats
exactly.
for you." Yep.
So you know this. The audience knows this. She knows
No,
this. Nobody else knows this.
nobody else knows except Agatha, and she's
Agatha, yeah,
certainly not going to
and
say anything.
and she's definitely not going to recruit her.
No.
And so instead she goes over, and we're back to Sharon Davis,
Poor
Mrs.
Sharon.
Hart. Mrs.
Sharon
Hart, played by
Davis.
Deborah Jo Rupp from WandaVision. It
Oh.
was great to see her again.
Mhm.
Um, so um, so she's her green witch because she's outside in her garden. And so
Mhm.
she's just like, yeah, yeah, you're a green witch. Yeah, come
Yeah,
over here
sure.
and have a party with us. And so, you know, so she gets pulled along into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Pencil me in for a question later.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so they all gather at Agatha's house inside the basement. And they realize that the Salem 7 is coming after her.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have arrived in Westview. And
Yep.
so they start singing The Witch's Road, which is this great, great song that gets stuck in your head and gets played multiple times throughout the season. in
The
different
the
variations.
bop of
Oh my
2024.
God.
The
I'm
absolute
telling
bop.
you.
Listen, Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez coming through again. They
Yep.
gave us everything in WandaVision. They gave us
Yep.
Agatha All Along the song, and then they come through. They understood the assignment.
Yeah, they did.
And
Yeah.
all of the this is what I love about bringing together that team again, the WandaVision team. We saw how well it worked out in that show. And then you bring together Jack Schaefer, you bring together Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. You bring
Right.
together like the same production designer and the same
Yeah.
costume designer. You bring all these people together who work so well together and have a vision. And you have a show where the lyrics in the song are the episode titles and it
Yep.
all works out. Oh, come on, people. This is
Yeah.
how it's supposed to be done. This is collaboration. This
Yeah.
is art. This is what it is. Ah, love it.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Yeah. And that song is just, yeah, it's so great. Like I defy anybody to be like, oh yeah, it was a crappy song. No, it's a great song. And just the
So
way
good.
everybody's like meshing together well. And oh man, it's one of those really, really great songs. Um, and
And for
then
that to end the second episode and for us to have to wait a week
yeah,
for episode 3,
yeah,
talk about like the excitement and the anticipation of they're singing that song. The Salem
right.
7 are coming and it's so
The door
scary.
opens
The
and
door opens,
they
they're
all
on the
race
road.
down. Yeah.
Yes, they take off their shoes, they start walking down the road, and sorry, everybody, you need to wait one whole week to find out what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
Amazing.
no, it's great storytelling, great way to end that episode, and a great way to make everybody wait a week and for everybody to talk for a week and have our
Yes,
theories and everything.
exactly.
Um, yeah, it's just yeah, no, that was a great 1-2 punch of those episodes. I don't think if you did the first episode and left it, I think would have been fine, but I think you had to have that kind of 1-2 punch of the first 2 episodes to
Mhm.
really hit big like that.
Right, because you would
Um,
have been fine. It would the episode
yeah,
1 ends, she opens up the closet door, haha, waka waka, and Tina's in there.
right.
And that so, like, that's enough of a, "Huh," to, like,
Yeah.
make it, but just that ending of episode 2 is just so you
Yes.
had, like, your setup, you had her breaking the spell, then you had her finding the coven and opening the door to the road and starting off down the road, and that was just it was
Yeah.
perfect. It was a perfect way to start it.
Right. I do want to go back to like you made the joke about coming out of the closet and everything like
Yes,
that, but I
yes.
do want to mention that this is a very, very, very queer show.
Thank
Um,
God.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
and like it's unapologetically queer. That Teen himself has a boyfriend,
yep.
and they show them kissing.
Mhm.
You find out through the course of this season that Rio and Agatha have had a relationship in the past, and that they're still um, pining for each other, but realize it's a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and that
You like me horizontal
yeah,
in a grave.
in a grave,
In a
yeah.
grave. Yeah,
um,
but even Jen, like, throws
yeah,
out that comment about, like, "I don't know if I hate her or if I want her number." Like,
exactly.
everyone but what's great about it is it's not, signposted and it doesn't have, like, neon pointing at it like, "Look at us, we're so progressive." It's just who they
Right.
are.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
And that
just part of the story in a, like, non-apologetic, but also non-pandering way.
right. And then it's also, I mean, obviously, we're talking about witches. We're talking about this coven of witches. So it's very female focused as well.
Mhm.
It is probably the most female, woman centric, um, most feminine um, thing that we've gotten through the MCU yet. I mean, because I mean, if you think about stuff like Captain Marvel and Black Widow and stuff like that, sure, they are woman led, but they are strong women. They're like, powerful women, kicking ass and everything like that. And not that Agatha and them don't kick ass, but they show this is about, sisterhood and womanhood and things that like are things that you don't get in these other projects
No,
as
absolutely.
much. And so I think it was one of those things where, they know their audience is probably going to largely be queer and female.
I
Um,
think so.
you
Yes.
know, um, so I think that it was a bold fucking choice on their part to make a show like this that does have that, so that you're not getting you could potentially lock out a lot of the male fandom. Um, the shitty male fandom.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but
you know,
the strange
obviously,
thing
or
is I don't know if that really happened though.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't think
think
it
by
did. I think the
I
storytelling was so good that
right.
everybody was just, like, okay with it. I think that it
Sure,
was
I haven't
handled in
heard
such a good
anything.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard anything of anybody like being overly hateful towards the project. Not like they are
Mhm.
towards fucking Captain Marvel.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But they but I do think that it's one of those things where it had that potential to be like that. And
Mhm.
that thankfully, because the storytelling was so good, because the performances were so good and everything like that, it was one of those things where you didn't hear things like that. And
Yeah.
so I think it could have been just largely ignored by that group anyway. It was just like they probably just didn't even bother to try and watch it or bother to worry about it or anything.
Mm,
Maybe. Let's hope anyway.
maybe.
Um, because they obviously wouldn't have been the kind of people who would have gone along with this show at all. Um, because it was so queer and so woman focused and everything like that, which I appreciated. I love that. Like, and that's what I think is it's interesting to think about kind of a pattern, like because you try to find patterns in these phases.
Yes.
Phase 4 was about grief. When you look back on
Mhm.
that, that whole phase is about people dealing with the aftermath of the blip and of Endgame and everything, just trying to pick up the pieces and trying to resolve
Yes.
um their grief over losing people
Mhm.
and everything. And phase 5 has largely been, I don't know, nobody's really put a pattern on it, but
Yeah.
I have just within the last few things, between this and Echo and the Marvels and everything, I realize, this may be more of a woman focused phase. Maybe I'd have to look at what of the other products and stuff like that, um, the other projects and stuff that were coming out this phase. Because did She-Hulk come out this phase or the previous phase? I think that was phase 4 as well.
I think it was. That
So
I'm not sure about.
yeah. So I just, it's at least a portion of it, at least this latter end of it as well, that we've got a very heavily female focused, very woman driven narrative. And I like that. I think that's great that we're starting to get these stories told between the Marvels, Echo, Agatha All Along. You're getting more of that dynamic rather than um
Yeah.
the generally male dominated stuff.
Is Brave New World phase 5 too? That's still phase 5,
It's
right? We're
phase
still
5.
in it?
Thunderbolts is the last movie of phase
Oh,
5.
phase 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a weird theory or
Okay.
thought possibly about a common theme. Could it be
Okay.
about building a community? Because a lot of these have
Hmm.
that feeling of community building. Like this certainly is it's a group of women who have been lone wolves who become a true coven and are able to, work together and have emotions toward each other. I certainly see that for a bit in Brave New World, especially with how they really do focus on Sam and how he is, a peacekeeper, a therapist, someone who is out to help people, hit the community he's building, and how he's basically been tasked with building a new Avengers. Like, there I feel
Right.
like that Loki season 2 is phase 5 too, right? And that certainly has so
Um.
many community building aspects to it, how the community that Loki builds around him leads to him making that sacrifice for everyone
Right.
else. Like I that might be a common thread.
Yeah. Let me see. So we've got the movies that were in this phase were Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
Hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The
Mm,
Marvels, Yeah, the Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America: Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. And then the TV shows that we had were Secret Invasion,
Huh.
Loki, Echo, Agatha All Along, Daredevil Born Again, and
Ooh,
Ironheart is supposed to
so
also be coming out. So it's
that could be
I
part of it. It
that
could be
could be
there.
part of it. There could be multiple ideas in this phase. Kind of like um, I mean, obviously the multiverse was a large aspect of
Yeah,
this series of them as well. Although to argue, Quantum Mania and Deadpool and Wolverine were really the only two that dealt with the multiverse in any
Loki.
way. And Loki, yeah. I
Yeah.
just meant movie wise.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to look at a list here, and the list is separated. But yeah, no, I like your idea of like creating community, kind of like where
Because
maybe
we
number
mourned the family that we
so maybe phase
lost.
4 was about grief, phase 5
Yep.
is about rebuilding.
Rebuilding. Yes.
So rebuilding in multiple ways.
Yep.
Because I think even you could argue that Quantum Mania and even Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are about rebuilding.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. About found
so
families coming together, grieving
right.
together, moving
You
on
know what?
in
Found
helpful ways.
families.
Found
Found
family.
families. You know
Yes,
what?
that
That could be that. You know what?
found
That's
family.
probably what it is. Found family.
I'm a genius,
Yay,
guys.
you are a
I
genius.
cracked the code.
Because I mean, when you really think about it, the Ant-Man and the Wasp is about like these two families kind of coming together.
Yep.
Um, and then obviously Guardians of the Galaxy has always been about found family. The Marvels is about a found family.
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of a found
Kind of a
family,
yeah,
messed
for
up found
sure.
family. Captain
Yeah,
America:
but
Brave New World,
we're all
kind of,
valid.
you
I
know.
can see it. I can see it
Definitely
spreading.
Thunderbolts.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure.
And then
Thunderbolts.
Loki and his friends
Yeah. Yep.
coming together. Secret Invasion, not so much, but that was a weirdly uneven thing anyway.
We're not even gonna talk
Echo
about
is
that.
about family,
Mm-hmm.
definitely about family. Agatha All Along, definitely found family. Daredevil Born Again, I'm not sure about, and Ironheart, I'm not sure about. So we'll see about
Yeah,
those two. But
we'll
yeah, I
see.
would think family, found family. Those are what these
Yeah,
shows
building
and movies.
community, finding strength
Yeah,
in each other, learn like these are the things that I'm
yeah,
seeing in all of these
yes.
projects.
No, that's great. That's great. We've cracked the code. Um,
We did it.
we figured it out together.
Hire me, MCU. No, I'm just kidding.
They're like, we already thought of this
They're like,
like
we know
13
you're
years
just
ago. This is what we've been building towards. You're just now paying attention to it.
I've been
Thanks.
paying attention the whole time.
But yes, so we get the coven together. They escape down into the Witch's Road. Um, and they get away from the Salem 7 at the time. So then that
Mhm.
jumps us in to basically the rest of the season. And
Right.
so we every episode they encounter a new place on the Witch's Road that tailors to one specific witch in their
Yes.
coven. And then um and each one of those kind of is a where we had the every episode was a unique sitcom era. We kind of have something similar in this. It's still going through eras because I would argue that the first one they get to that very nice house and everything
The
like that,
beach house.
and
It's
the
like
nice
Desperate
clothes and everything
Housewives.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it feels kind of like that, but also kind of you could throw it kind of into the 60s. You don't really get the styles. They're not really wearing the style of dresses the 60s, but you can kind of get that idea.
Mhm.
It's definitely a Desperate Housewives, maybe Stepford Wives kind of
Mhm.
vibe. Sharon Davis is very at home
Yes.
in this one. But this
Bury me in that kitchen.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Sharon.
Yeah, that
Sorry.
one that line comes a little too true.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they we find out that this each one of them has a obstacle that needs a specific witch's talents, and
Yes.
in this episode specifically, it is Jennifer Kale's
Yes.
specific talents as a potions witch. She needs to
Mhm.
create a potion that because they all drink the wine, and that poisons them.
Yes.
And then so they need the potion to um uh, counteract the poison and to
Mhm.
escape. And what and they're given only like 30 minutes to do this, and so
Yes.
it's
A
interesting. So they have
ticking
a
clock
timer in
is
it, yeah,
always a
ticking
lot.
clock,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's a really fun episode. You get a lot more depth. Jennifer pulls the Tina side and mentions that
Mhm.
to be careful because um, that what she's heard about Agatha is that she sold her baby's soul to the devil for the power of the Darkhold.
For the Darkhold. Yep.
Um, and so, but not to the devil, but specifically to a name that we've heard of that was bandied about during the course of
Uh-huh.
during WandaVision that everybody thought was, and to be fair, it was a comic book reference, but to a character called Mephisto,
Mephisto.
which is the MC the not the MCU, but the Marvel Comics kind of version of Satan,
Mhm.
um, the personification of evil and hell and everything. And so, that's our first overt reference to Mephisto
Yep.
in the MCU. We still don't see him. We never get to see him through the course of this. Don't get excited. But it's definitely our first reference to him, and it's something interesting to kind of like, maybe we will get something in the future. But um, but yeah, it just more layers upon
Mhm.
upon everything. But yeah, like you mentioned, Sharon Davis, they don't save her in time
Nope.
because she was the first one to drink, and she drank
And
a
she
lot of the
drank 2
wine.
glasses. Yeah,
Yeah,
she drank 2
so the
glasses.
poison was
So,
much more significant in her system, and so she dies. She's the first victim of the Witch's Road, and they have to continue on from there. And that's where we jump into the next episode.
mhm.
And that one is I believe that's the one where
That's
they
the 70s
the
record
70s,
studio.
yeah, record studio. And
Yes.
this one has a lot to do with this one pulls at Alice um a lot.
Yeah, this is Alice's trial.
Yeah, this is Alice's trial because this her mother is a former rock star who had a version of the Witch's Road, like a pop rock version of the Witch's Road that became mega popular. Everybody knows it in the MCU, and it's just like a huge hit. And but her mother was taken by this generational curse, this demon
Mhm.
that
This, like, fire
she's
demon thing.
yeah, and it's been something that's been haunting her forever too, but her mother died to protect her.
And her
And
song is a protection spell.
yes, exactly. And
Yes.
so that's what ends up happening is they need to perform the song
Mhm.
again to protect themselves from this demon again, who's now loose in this section. There's some interesting things they all have to, earlier during the earlier episode, they all had to split up. I want to mention that, uh, um, Lilia keeps having these like,
Mhm.
blank outs, like moments where she like, just have this weird
She says,
outburst.
like, a random statement that
Yes,
you don't think it means anything. Yeah.
right. And so, it's something to come back to. So just, be aware. But yeah, so I think that's a fun little quirk of the character because you just think that she's just like maybe she's you know because she's older, she's suffering from Alzheimer's or something like that, where she's just like randomly like blurting things out or whatever. Although
Mhm.
obviously, being a witch and everything, you just suspect that there's something more going on.
Yeah,
Um,
that something's going on, and
right,
thankfully, we get the answer to it.
yeah, and so there's so this episode was fun too because you get to see them all in 70s attire.
Mhm.
you know um it because of Sharon's death, they need a new green witch as
They
well,
sure do.
and they summon one, and out comes clawing from the dirt,
From the grave.
from the grave. Rio shows back up,
Yep.
so
And
and she's
Agatha's thrilled, as you can imagine.
yeah. And then they're asking, "Oh, well, you're a Green Witch," and she's like, "Well, I'm the original Green Witch."
Yeah, I'm
So
the Green Witch.
yeah, the Green Witch. Um, um, But yeah, it's you know, if you want to jump in with any of your notes,
Oh,
because I know
yeah,
you
I
got some.
mean,
If we've missed
we're
things,
just chatting. No,
yeah,
we're hitting everything. We're hitting
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So
So yeah,
yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
like basically, like Alice is able finally to defeat her family's curse on the
Right,
road, which
exactly.
essentially is what they're all on the road for something. Bill, well, I mean, he's at this point he's teen. You don't know he's Billy yet, but
Yeah,
like he has been a little cagey with why he's on the road. But he is
right.
on the road because he wants to find Tommy.
Yeah,
Agatha's on the road because she wants her power back.
right.
Alice wanted to know. Alice basically knows what happened to her mother, but like this is what Alice wanted from the road. She has closure now with her mother, and she has defeated this demon, this her family's curse. She's finally free of
Right.
it. Jen is
Jennifer wants her
bound.
power back. Yeah.
Yes, Jen still has her power locked inside of her, but she's bound. She can't use her power.
Right.
Yeah, and Lilia is, I mean, it seems like she's there. It seems very like human reasons. Like she has
Right.
no money, she's gonna lose her
Yeah.
shop, like, but
She's
her
older,
like
it
yeah,
feels almost like she wants to regain like maybe youth or something like that. It's never really fully explained exactly what
well,
she's looking for.
for her, she's the one that the community rallies around in this
Right.
like community building thing. Like that one of the cards, we're skipping ahead slightly, but in her
Yeah.
trial, when she pulls out the card, it's about community and it's about how she needed these women.
Yeah.
This is what she has been working towards.
Right. She's been looking for a
Forming this
coven.
bond
Yeah.
with this,
Yeah.
yes, having a coven. She has a
Yeah.
coven. So
Yeah.
like they're all there for something. And the trial, all each one's trial is basically highlighting that and explaining what's going on with them, the part of them that they need to
Resolve.
contend with so
Yeah.
that they can keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's each one of these is like, because that last trial was about Jen confronting her using, because she doesn't have the powers of divination anymore, that she's created these products for
Mhm.
use that, she's created potions, man-made potions.
Right.
And then that plays into what is necessary for the potion that she needs to make, for them to survive that trial necessarily. So she finds, without power, she still finds use in a way.
Well,
Like,
it's my favorite line of the whole series is in that episode.
what was the line?
It's like Agatha tells her, "They can take your power, but they can't take your knowledge."
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's the thing, and that I think that really, that was one of those moments with Jen, is like she needs to reckon with that that sure, she doesn't have her power, she still wants it back, but until then she has the knowledge of things that will still help her and them, and that's
Yeah,
that's the thing. So, and knowledge is power in itself. So
correct.
yeah, so I think that they when we get to this episode, we get past this episode, the next episode is like set in like an 80s style, like they're all in 80s dress.
Yeah,
It's
it's like a sleepover.
like a sleepover slash
Yeah,
like camp like thing, like summer camp vibe. They're all in what feels like a cabin to me. um
right.
but
And they
so
ride the brooms to get there.
yeah, oh
The
right.
broom ride.
Right. Yes. So I love that
Yes.
part too,
Oh,
because Lily is
God.
just like, oh my God, we've gone so many years.
Well,
This is so,
she's always got those moments. In the
yeah.
first trial, she almost refuses to climb through the I'm not climbing in an oven. Like
You're
all
right.
of her
I know a woman who died like
yeah,
that.
I know a
Yeah.
woman who died like that. She had such a nice house too. Like all of her comments or the things that are denigrating to witches, which is
Yes.
funny, but also like has its own,
Right.
deeper meaning in terms of, most of the things that people associate with witches are also things that people find, difficult in women in general, which is
Right.
why all of these stereotypes exist. So for her to constantly be annoyed about witch things, and even,
Yeah.
when she's dressed as Glinda and Jen says, we can be culturally annoyed later. Let's just try to solve the problem. Like,
Yeah.
she always gets all riled up about the witch stereotype.
It's so fun. And I think it's funny. We should mention that, Lily is 450 years old.
Yes.
And Jen is over 100 years old.
Hmm.
Um, and then we find out also later on that Agatha is very, very old.
Yes,
Um,
also. Yes.
and so probably older than Lilia. Um,
I think so.
yeah, I want to say she's probably older, maybe just slightly, but enough. Um, but yeah, so we get that great moment, and it's great. They're flying through the air, on their you know
Their
big giant
brooms,
branches.
the
It's
big
like a
branches.
branch. It's like a broom. Yeah, the
Mhm. Rio
modified
was
broom.
cackling.
Oh my god, that was so great too, because she literally does the cute, like the great witch cackle, and it's like,
Yes.
of course Aubrey can do that.
It's so fun. That
Yeah,
scene is amazing. It looked
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, and again, all practical, done on
Mhm.
sets. Everything's great. But yeah, so they get to the 80s, and they soon realize that I think this was Agatha's
This is
um
Agatha's trial. This is the spirit
Agatha's
trial.
trial. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also we should say that they had to escape the Salem 7. That's why they were on the brooms,
Right.
because they
Yes.
never closed the door when they summoned Rio.
Yeah.
So now the Salem 7 are on the road because they climbed through
Yes.
the door.
Exactly.
I'm like, do, 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 do. By the way,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
but
that's
no,
because we're
this
skipping.
is yeah, but this is Agatha's trial, so that they
Yeah.
pull out that old 80s sleepover staple, the Ouija board.
Yeah. And then I love the moment too, because again, the worst kept secret in the series was that Rio was likely the personification of death.
Yes,
Um,
which we all knew.
which we all knew. There were
Yes,
hints and stuff galore. So even if you hadn't been spoiled, then you started to suspect. Um,
right.
there's a moment where they're doing the Ouija board, and they it says
It's
like,
like,
"Who's here
"Who's
with
here with
us?"
us?"
and it spells out death,
Death,
and
and she
and
just starts
she just
laughing.
just laughs so much, and I was just like, "Oh my god, that's so good."
Yes.
Um, because she's like, "You're right, I am here."
Mhm. God.
um and but that, like, this one actually has some like crazy scary moments and stuff like that too,
This
like
was
some creepy moments.
almost, like, on the edge of being
Yeah.
too much for me. There was stuff in this where I was like, "Oh, like, all the Exorcist makeup
Yeah,
and everything on Catherine Hahn and like, her scurrying around,
the
like, that
scurrying
that
around.
kinda I
Yeah,
mean, the Salem 7 do that too. There's a lot of scurrying
yeah,
around and, in the making of you see these because they were dancers, obviously,
yeah.
they hired, 7 dancers/contortionists slash
Contortionists and
contortionists to
dancers.
do it,
Yeah,
and, they're in their costumes and you see it like them doing it slow motion, but they're what they filmed and then they sped up for the
sped
show,
it
but
up.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's still creepy as hell, like,
yeah. Oh
they're
yeah,
doing it with their bodies, but it's still like, "Ugh," it's a bit too much. Yeah, this episode was just a hair like, I love it, but it's, like, just on the edge of what I can handle before I start to get really freaked out. Because she's possessed by her mother, so her mother is back, and this is the episode where we find out that the Salem 7 are the children of the witches that Agatha killed to absorb all of their power when we see that scene happening in WandaVision. So, they have been hunting her for hundreds of years
yes,
to try to get revenge for what Agatha did to their moms,
right,
essentially.
exactly.
Yes, and as her mom drops that bombshell of a line on her, like, "You're so evil, like, I should have destroyed you the second you left my body," or whatever she says, and it's like,
Yeah,
"Holy cannoli," like,
yeah.
that is rough.
Busting out the holy cannoli again.
That is a rough line of dialogue.
Yeah,
Ouch. Yeah.
yeah. No, and
Yeah.
that's like, yeah. And I think that's the interesting thing too. Like, we haven't really talked about it, but Agatha's um arc in this show is, you see that, she starts out as this like really kind of like uncaring kind of evil person, but during the course of this, with this coven, you start to see that she actually starts to care a little bit.
Mhm.
And this episode especially is there's a couple of moments there towards the end, because this is her, um this is she starts, what is it, the mom attacking her that's the problem, and she starts to that's why Alice goes to save her. Um,
She's inside of her again, and Alice goes to save her, and then
right.
she sucks out all of Alice's power, and
Right.
it kills
Well,
her.
because that's what you find out
Yeah.
earlier in the thing is that like she tells everybody because this is what she's known for is for taking people's powers,
Mhm.
and for herself, and that's what she's done over the centuries,
Mhm.
and that's what she's become known as is just this person who doesn't have a coven, does everything on her own, and will just completely just take
Kill
everybody's
you.
power and kill them. Yeah. And so in that moment, and she tells them early on, you guys are all safe as long as you don't use your power on me. As long as
Right.
you don't use your power, I can't do anything. I can't take your power without you giving it to me to begin with.
Right.
And in that moment, Alice uses her powers to help to just try to save Agatha,
Yeah.
and it does. And then Agatha, there's a moment where, like, it's a combination of things to where like she starts taking the power and she's loving it. But there's
Mhm.
also, you can see that there's a moment where she realizes what she's doing, but it feels like she can't stop herself.
Right.
And but she wants to. Like there's a moment, like it's a quick moment. Because once, she gets all the power and she's taken it all and everything like that, she feels more like herself. She's kind of back to herself a little bit. Um, but it kills Alice in the process.
Yeah.
So Alice survived her trial and got rid of that
Mhm.
curse, only to die like literally moments later.
Yes.
Um, and it's just it's heartbreaking.
It
Um,
really is.
it's just like because that's Sharon had died, but Sharon, as much as that was heartbreaking in itself, Sharon wasn't a witch and
Right.
wasn't part of that coven that had been like growing and like coming together a little bit more as it went along. And so like it just, I don't know, this one felt so much harder and more I don't know, more impactful
Oh,
in a way.
it was awful because especially because, you see it later, but I think it's the last episode or the second and last episode. You see it from Alice's perspective when Rio comes to escort her to the
Yeah.
afterlife,
Yeah.
and she
That one
says
hurt. Yeah.
yeah, and she says everything that we, the audience, had been thinking. It's like, "But I just beat
Yeah.
the curse.
Yeah.
I just, I am now free, like, I can live my life," and then she says to her, "You're a protection witch who died protecting someone.
Yeah.
What more do you want?" And then
Yeah.
she accepts it and moves on, but yeah, it was rough, but also, like, this show has the guts to kill people,
Yeah.
to really
Yeah.
kill people and have that be it. Like, Sharon doesn't come back, Alice
No,
doesn't come
no.
back, like, they're
Yeah.
dead. They're dead,
Yeah.
dead. They're not
Yeah.
coming back, and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awful, but it's great.
Yeah. But they manages teen manages to stop Agatha at the end there, but not before Alice dies by
Right.
yelling out her son's name, Nicholas Scratch.
Yeah, because you can
Um,
hear him too, he's talking through the Ouija board.
exactly.
Mhm.
Um, and so you find out, the spirit of her son is still out there somewhere, and and again, which was a thing that up until that point people were kind of like, well, is he Billy or is he maybe
Is he
her
Nicholas
son?
Scratch? Yeah, who
Yeah.
is he?
And so that was kind of the run up for a little while, but you find out at the end of this
You find out
episode
at the end of this episode. Yes,
because
he is Billy.
Lilia and yeah, Lilia and Jen still are like, look, we're still with Agatha on this. We still need to finish the Witch's Road. And so he takes them over and makes them throw um uh, Agatha into the mud and
And then he throws them in the
them
mud.
into the mud. Yeah. And then that's when we get that
Fantastic
great
needle
needle
drop.
drop where you see it pans up and you see him wearing a similar headdress to the Scarlet Witch,
Yes.
and that's when you realize, motherfucker, that's
Oh,
Billy.
well,
So,
right before all that craziness, she drops another one of the best lines of the series. "You're
mm,
just like your mother."
yep.
I choked.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
yeah.
again, even at that point, you're just like, wait, does she mean Scarlet Witch or herself?
Yes,
Yeah.
but oh, the way she's you're just like your
Mhm.
mother, and you're like, oh my God.
So yeah, so the next episode, we finally get Billy's backstory.
Yes.
So we finally get to see that, he was just this random teenager from another town called Eastview.
Yeah, from
Uh,
next door.
from next door, Westview,
Uh-huh.
Eastview.
Westview
Um,
Eastview.
and
He's having his bar
he's
mitzvah
having
during
his bar
the
mitzvah,
hex.
and he ends up crossing paths with Lilia, who's doing tarot card
Yes.
readings there at his bar mitzvah, which is an
Yes.
interesting little weird thing to have at a bar mitzvah.
Well, that was his theme, which when you see
True.
his room, it makes
Yeah.
sense because he does have Houdini posters and like
Yes.
William Kaplan was obviously a kid who was already attuned to and interested in magic.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of it's a coincidence, but are there ever really coincidences? But I've been to a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs and they all have themes. So
Yeah.
this made a lot of sense to me because I've been at Hollywood bat mitzvahs where I walk the red carpet. I've been at, so I totally get that this would have been his theme because it's his biggest interest. And then she's
Right.
there doing the meetings. And we find out that Lilia is the person who cast the sigil
Yep.
on William because she
Because
saw
she sees something in
his
his future. Yep.
and knows that he's going to need need some protection. So she creates the rune, she puts it in his jacket pocket, and then because sigils don't work even on the witch who cast them, she forgets all about
exactly
him
who he is. Yep.
right after she casts it. So
Yep.
that's we see that, and we see the car accident. So
yeah,
we
and so
see
that's the
William die. Like
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Yes.
Like
So William dies
Kaplan
in this
is
car crash
dead.
at the same moment that the hex collapse around Westview.
And
So he is dead,
Billy,
and then the spirits,
Spirit,
the created thing, like
the
I guess
created
the
essence of
of
Billy
Billy
Maximoff is inside William
is
Kaplan's
become
body.
exactly. He
Yes.
inhabits him because now Billy's dead. Billy Kaplan himself is dead. Like he died. Like
He
because that was
died
some
in the
confusion on the audience's part there for a while too. I saw people raising that they were like, "This is really odd. Like this is really terrible if
Yeah.
he's taking
I
over
had
this
to
body
explain
and
that
everything like
too.
that." And
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
"No,
no,
no,
no.
no.
He
Like he's
died.
dead."
He's dead. That
Yeah.
body would be toast without Billy Maximoff being in there.
Yes.
And
So he
so
saw an
yeah.
opportunity, as
Yeah.
Agatha says.
Well, and I don't think it was necessarily even an opportunity thing. It was a spirit looking for a body.
It just kind of
And that
happened.
like it just
He's a
happened.
kid.
It was the nearest body to inhabit.
Yes.
And so and then you see that, he's taking some time to get used to it. His parents are like, well, this is not the same kid, but he is, but not at the same time. And I think, Billy Maximoff has the memories of William Kaplan inside still, so that he's not completely like.
I think he says he doesn't remember anything.
Oh, does he? Okay.
No, he
Let me
doesn't.
see.
No, he doesn't remember. I don't think he remembers anything. He is just. I think he is
Oh,
just
right.
trying to get by
Yeah.
being a totally different person, but he's in just survival mode at
Well,
that
and he
point.
doesn't remember his past as Billy. That's the thing.
No, I think he
Yeah.
doesn't. He
Well, I meant
doesn't
that
know
maybe
who
he
he is,
knows.
and he doesn't know
He
William
understands
Kaplan
the
either.
what. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh. Yeah. And so, but now he can read minds.
Yes.
So now he can understand. And I'm assuming at that point he kind of reads his parents' minds and kind of like is able to glean enough information off of who William was before
To survive. Yeah,
Yeah, to
because
figure
he's
out.
in there listening to them in the kitchen when they're panicking, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Everyone stop worrying." Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I love this episode. I just wanna go on record, I love Joe Locke so much. I love him in Heartstopper, I love him in this. He's a wonderful actor, and I'm so glad that he has this,
Yeah.
all the recognition he got this year. He
Yeah. I've never
really
seen Heartstopper, but my daughter, as soon as she saw him, she's like, "Oh, that guy, that's the
Oh
guy
my
from
god.
Heartstopper."
Yes,
So,
he's
yeah.
he's wonderful, really,
Yeah.
truly wonderful.
But yeah, so 3 years later, cut to 3 years later, and he's still trying to figure out what's going on, and he meets up with Ralph Boner.
Oh my god, I love that he came back for this. He's such a weirdo. He will just pop up in these things all the time and
Right.
be so silly. I
Yeah.
was very happy to see Evan Peters. Yes, and that scene was great. And again, it's always really cool that they treat what happened to Westview in this and in, WandaVision as something like serious that,
Yeah.
that deserves like yes, it's a scene that's played for comedy in a lot of ways, but also like he's been through a traumatic experience. And I don't
Exactly.
think that they shortchange him in that way. He's just like someone who's trying to profit off of it on the
Right.
internet now.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, like that scene's amazing. Meeting him in the parking garage, getting more insight into what Ralph's been up
Right.
to. These,
And then he finds out
yeah,
about Billy and Tommy, and then that
yes,
makes him realize, okay, this is who I am now, and
this
now
must
I
be
need to
it.
find my
Yep.
brother.
And now I'm gonna
Um,
go. Now we see the first episode, but
yep,
from his perspective.
exactly.
And it's great.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of fun to watch it and to see like what the outside perspective of what Agatha was doing that whole time, and where she's like, she didn't really have a gun on her hip, it's a banana. And
Yeah.
and just like it's just so silly. And just, but yeah, and this basically leads us up to the end of the previous episode.
Correct.
So, and now we have all the background information finally, so we can move
Mhm.
on. So, uh, uh, Agatha escapes from the mud, um, realizes that the sigil has been destroyed,
Mhm.
and tells him that they have to continue on, um, along the
Yep.
road. And so they continue on the road, and they get to a castle, um, and then then they all get dressed in her and him get dressed in they're suddenly in dresses outfits that are reminiscent of witches from popular culture.
Correct.
um and I can't remember, he's
He's
Maleficent, isn't it?
Maleficent, and
Yeah,
she's Wicked Witch of the West.
Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes, and
Yeah.
eventually when Jen and Lilia get there, Jen is the hag witch from Snow White with the
Right.
apple.
Yes.
Yes, and, Lilia is Glinda, the good witch.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, so you see this episode, because Lilia lives outside of time, this episode,
Yes, and I
the
loved
yes,
that.
that episode goes back and forth and is not it's a
And
nonlinear storytelling,
right. And you
and
finally realize that her outbursts throughout the
yes,
season were specific messages that she was trying to say, but they were all
out
synced
of
out of
order.
time,
They
that
didn't know.
they
Mhm.
didn't make sense, and there were only portions of these things. And so now you're finally getting the whole
The
message
whole
that she was
message.
trying to say to everybody at different times.
Alice, don't try to save Agatha.
Yes, Alice, don't try to
Alice,
save Agatha.
don't
Yeah.
try to save Agatha.
Yeah.
Yep. All those and the way that the episode unfolds and shows all of that, and this scene when she is turning over the cards and she does, and when she turns over all those tarot cards and you see that she is the Queen of Cups, Jen is the High Priestess, the way forward,
Yeah.
that, that Alice died doing what she was supposed to do, being a
Right.
protection witch, that all of them are there as, they were meant to be together. This coven was meant to come together, and that she is fully prepared to sacrifice herself so that they can continue on. This one episode, I think, is the best episode of the whole series.
Yeah, it's really
It's
good. And
it's
Jen,
fantastic. She's fantastic in it. The storytelling is just perfect.
yeah,
This is the strongest episode.
right. And this is when Lilia discovers that Rio is the personification of death as
This is when you
well. The
see it.
audience
Yes.
finds out.
The audience
Um,
sees it. Yep.
yeah,
The design of the tarot cards to match the scenes on
yeah,
in the screen. This is perfect. It's
yeah,
so very good.
yeah. And then because Lilia lives outside of time, that while we see her death, we
Mhm.
also see her first lesson
Right.
after that. And so, while she's dead, she's also still alive. And so it's like this
Yes.
interesting, you know,
It's so good.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I love it.
and so yeah, and so it's a great episode. I love time hijinks. I'm a big time travel fan, so I always love when they kind of mess with time.
Yes.
Um,
And
so
you
then,
see it in Jen too when she's pushing Jen out of the room. She
yeah,
doesn't want to go, and then she just says, "I really loved being a witch," and just
yeah,
pushes her out of the door, closes the door, and Jen is horrified because they've all grown to love each other, even
yeah.
though,
They
you
have
never
become a
thought
true coven, and even
they are a true
Agatha
coven.
feels that as well
Mhm.
too. And this, like, every moment, you can tell that things have changed for her. That even as much as she's still using them, it's
Mhm.
hurting her when one of them is dying now.
Right.
And you find out about this in the last episode, about just how much this has changed her. But before that, we get them uh, at the end of the road, um, and discover that it's a circle, that they're back at the beginning again.
Yes.
Um, and then when they realize that, they put their shoes back on and they're transported back to Agatha's basement.
Yes.
Um, and um, that's when Jin learns that Agatha was the one who bound her and
Yes,
made it
she
so that
was
she can have her
paid by
powers.
the evil doctor to do it, and she didn't know who she was doing it to, but then
Yes,
that means that she is able to unbind
unbind
her,
her. Yeah,
and then Jen
Jin just
disappears.
takes off. She's like, "See ya."
She's
And
just
that's
gone.
because that's what she wanted
Yeah,
from the road. She just
that's
wanted
what
her
she
power
wanted.
back. And
Yep.
now that she's got it back, she was like, "All right, I'm out. See you. You're on your own now."
Yeah, she
And I mean,
survived.
which was fine. Which it like I get it, because like at that point you're just like, well, Agatha's just been messing with us this whole time, and
Yeah, that
she's
that
the
they're
one.
starting to pull on that string. You're
Yeah,
still
yeah,
not entirely certain what's going on, but they're definitely
exactly.
pulling on that string at that point. Yeah,
Um,
and then they
yeah,
find a body for Tommy.
they do.
Tommy
And
is still, like, out in the ether, and then there is a boy who is drowning, so
yeah,
once Tommy finds that body, Billy disappears,
yep. And
and
so
then
his goal is done as well.
Mhm.
So she's just left. And she needs to figure out how to grow a flower in a crack in the floor, um, to complete her trial in time.
And she
Um,
does,
and
and
she
then she
manages
climbs
to.
out of her own house into her
Yes,
own backyard.
yes. Um,
And then we have the MCU, let's fire different color shots of magic at
right.
each other.
So you have
It's
this
still
big battle.
cool.
Yeah. So you have this big battle at the end, Rio versus Agatha, because
Mhm.
Agatha had agreed to give up Billy to her, but now because of the events of all of this, she's not that way anymore,
Right.
and so she's gained um, some empathy, I guess you could
Yeah,
say,
perspective,
some
etcetera.
perspective on things. Yeah, and
Yes.
so she sacrifices herself for Billy,
Yes.
because Rio's like, one of you is going with me. And if
Right.
it's
Well,
not going to be
because
him, then it's
yeah,
going to be you,
it
because
has to be
somebody
yeah.
needs to. Because the whole deal was because Billy cheated death.
Yes,
Um,
the natural order has been disrupted
right,
by him taking over this body, and
right,
she protects the natural order.
exactly. And so she takes um, Agatha. Agatha
Yep, Agatha
dies,
dies. Yes.
which is crazy. Which is like, you're not expecting the whole end result of this whole show to be Agatha sacrificing herself,
No,
for anybody. Um,
no, but that's yeah, that's what she that those are the friends that she made along the way.
right. So Billy returns home, and we get this
Yes.
awesome moment that he starts looking around his room, and he and the audience realize that a lot of the aspects of the Witch's Road
Road.
are in his room.
Mhm. And he
And
starts
what the hell does that
realizing,
mean?
like mother, like son, he
Exactly.
has created with his magic the
Yep.
road, and you hear Agatha laughing, and then you have to wait a whole week to
Yep.
find out that Agatha the ghost is back.
But we don't find that out till the end of that episode as well, because
Correct,
in
because
this
first we have to
final
have our
episode,
hearts
we
broken
finally,
wide
yep,
open.
so we finally get Agatha's past. We find out
Yes.
that she had a son,
Mhm.
that he got sick,
Mhm.
and that he died, and that there was nothing she could do to protect him.
No, and all Rio could do was give her time. because the
Right.
first thing we see is her about to give birth, and Rio is there to take the baby, and she
Right away, yeah.
begs, and she says, "All I can give you is time." So she gets 6 years. I think Nikki is 6 years old when he
I
died.
think so. Yeah, it's 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nikki created the song. They
The
created
Ballad
the
of the
song
Witch's Road. Yeah.
together. So the song came from them, and the road never existed.
The road, you find out that the
The
road
road
has
was a
never existed.
con. It's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
con.
This
She
song
does it to
became a
get
con.
people
Yep.
together to steal their
So
powers.
yeah, so that's what the interesting thing is. She gathers a bunch of witches together, and then they
Mhm.
all sing the song because they all want to go to the witch's road for the power that they want. And then in that moment, while they're all singing, she steals all their power.
Yes, she gets them all
And
mad at her because it's not working. She insults them, and and we see her do it
yeah,
through
because that's the thing
all the
too, is
years.
again, she can't take their power unless they give it to her. So they all
Yes.
blast her with their power, and
Mhm.
that's when she takes all their power away.
Take it. Yep, and she's
And
been doing this for
hundreds of
centuries.
years. Yeah, so you
Yep.
find out because it's this is set in 1750 when it starts. Um so we're looking at what 300 years almost.
Yeah.
So um but yeah, so yeah, so you see her through the centuries. It's fun too because you get these little momentary period pieces where the different women, different dress and everything, where she's
Yes.
just going through the time, just stealing
Mhm.
people's power. And so you see that that was what her intent was also. um so we get back into the present. Agatha, now a ghost, tells Billy that the road was never real.
The road was never real
um
until you made it
until
real.
he made it real.
Yep.
um
And he is still horrified because people died, but as she
but
says,
she says
"I
they
was
were going
gonna
to die
kill them
anyway.
all anyway. I was gonna kill them."
Yep,
So in the end,
they
he
would have
wound
all
up
died.
saving,
Yeah,
yeah, he
exactly.
wound
But
up saving Jen's life
then, yeah.
because yeah.
So
So they go back to Agatha's basement and they close up the road with a memorial to those who have died,
yeah,
and they decide they're gonna go find Tommy.
yeah.
End of show.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and then she's there because she doesn't want to move on because she doesn't want to face her son.
She's scared to see Nikki.
She's
Yeah.
scared to say, yeah, she's scared to see her son. So she tags along as Ghost Agatha now so that
Yeah.
she can be help him find Tommy. Which I know a lot of people suspected might happen in Vision Quest, which is the next kind of
It's
one
supposed to be
Vision
the
has.
next one.
So,
Yeah.
but I think they've specifically said that Tommy won't be in that. But who knows? The MCU is known for throwing people off with stuff.
Yes.
They're known
Well,
for
yeah.
lying to people.
I know. Well, I mean, especially Jack Shaver's not directly involved, but she has sat down
Yes.
with them and, and consulted basically.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time believing that
Yeah.
they're not gonna set this whole thing up. Although I did hear recently that they could do a season 2 of this, which I actually would be fine with if they
Yeah,
did.
I think
This
that
was really good.
I think if they did a season 2 of this and had Agatha and Billy going and finding Tommy, I think that would probably be the better idea,
Right.
rather than tying it into Vision Quest. Because I would like Vision Quest to be its own thing because it seems like very much a different thing completely, and tying magic and everything else into all of that just seems a little
Yeah.
too much.
What'll probably
So-
happen is they'll do that whole story, and then, like, at the end, there'll be a little tag that ties it together with this or something,
right, exactly.
I would guess. Because
That's what I
also,
would think.
you and I have talked about this. I firmly believe that Wanda's not dead. So sooner or
Oh,
later, we're
she's
gonna get this,
absolutely
yeah.
not dead.
Sooner or later, we're gonna get this whole family
So,
back together. You know
yeah,
that we are.
exactly.
Do you wanna know what else fun thing I found out from watching the making of?
Yeah, of course.
Wiccan's costume, his hood,
Hmm.
the outside of it is the same fabric and design of Wanda's costume from Multiverse of Madness, and the
Oh,
inside of it is like Vision's design from his, like, robot
oh,
body. So he
interesting.
has both of his parents with him. The costume designer literally said he always has his parents with him, and I was like, "I'm gonna cry."
That's crazy. I did not know that.
I
That's funny.
love I
I need to
love
watch
all
that
of
making
that.
of. Yeah,
Oh, it's really good. It is
yeah.
really, really good.
No, like that's the thing, like, and that's what bugs me about it not being on Disney Plus is all of those Marvel assembled shows are all really great. They're really great, really short, like 1 hour, like making of things that just really get in depth on the aspects of whatever show or movie or whatever. And no, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, no, this is such a good show. Like lots of stuff to unpack, lots of stuff, and and this is like what I thought was great about Agatha's arc and stuff like that is in the end that she ended up really caring for these women because she found sisterhood and companionship with these women, and that even at the end, um as much as she's still going to be herself, she also found something with these women that she had never had before,
Yes.
because she'd never tried. She was always about that power, and she didn't. She never stopped to consider that.
Yeah.
So, and then once she had the dark hold, that corrupted her on top of everything. So,
Yes. Absolutely.
um,
And you
and that,
see that she had the capacity for it because she's she's a grieving mother,
yeah,
and that has just colored everything she has done from that
right.
moment forward.
Well, and that's what makes it interesting too, because it's a parallel to what Wanda goes through um, in Multiverse of Madness in terms of being corrupted by the Darkhold.
Yeah.
And so, and again, like I'm going to argue every time about Multiverse of Madness and the portrayal of Wanda and everything like that. There's
Mhm.
so many people who
Mhm.
complain about, oh, that's not Wanda. It's like, it is Wanda, though.
It is.
It's
It
not,
is.
she's corrupted, massively corrupted. Her
Yeah.
grief has overtaken her so much, that she was easy prey for the Darkhold. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's the same with Agatha. Agatha, I don't think was as corrupted, but that's because Agatha was already
Already.
like
Yeah.
not a great person. So, and
Right.
so, the
And this
Darkhold just
doesn't
enhanced
pull
that.
the punches. She's a villain. Like, it
Yeah,
never says that she's not a villain. She does bad things in this.
yeah, yeah.
You can
And
feel
even in
empathy
the
for her,
end,
but she is a villain.
yeah, and even in the end, she's still not a villain. Like she's still not a complicated person who is going to do things because it's what she wants.
Right.
And so, it's she's going to be a little bit more open, but that doesn't mean that she's still in the end not going to do what's right for her and what
Right.
she feels is what's right for her. And I
Exactly.
think that's what's great about the character is that it's and about the portrayal of the character is that in the end, it's not she didn't suddenly become a hero just because of
Right.
this and everything like that. She's still going to be who she is. She's still going to be doing things that are selfish for herself. She just did what was necessary in these moments, like sacrificing herself for Billy, because at that point it was the right thing to do, and she probably knew she'd be able to come back as a ghost
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, her spirit.
She always has an escape plan.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so no, great show. I really loved it. It's a great companion piece to WandaVision
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. So yeah. But yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to mention that we didn't mention?
Yeah, I had a lot of stuff that I said when we were all together on
Yes.
the internet
Yes.
on Discord as we were going through this, and kind of touching on what you said before about how men might be like kind of left out on the nuances of the
Right.
female and queer centered storytelling. I don't think that there was a sign put up that said this is for women and queers only, don't enter. I
Right.
don't think that that's it, but I think that there are a lot of things that happen in this show where intrinsically, if you are someone who has had these experiences, it's going to be a lot easier for you to connect the dots than it would be for
Right.
someone who hasn't, which I think happens sometimes in some people who had some discussions about this show. But I went looking for I was when I was doing my notes, I was like, "All right, how do I say this?" And I said, "You know what? I already said it." So I just went and I found it and like here's a dramatic reading of me ranting on Discord. From this was after the Lilia episode.
Okay.
So that was and here we go. You're always in trouble when I start out as I in no way want to come across as a bra burning feminist in here. So you're already all in trouble.
You already know she's coming in
Here I
as a bra
am.
burning feminist.
Here I am. Put out the soapbox. Have I mentioned that I have a whole have a whole podcast of me screaming about the substance? Thank you very much. So, uh I would like to express just how much the female and queer centered storytelling is working for me personally. So this was in response to somebody who was saying that a man who was saying that it wasn't working. And I said, excuse me.
Yeah.
Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. Bra burning feminist number one. Uh, so, and this is not to say that this show can't be enjoyed by straight men, but I think the lived in and authentic feelings expressed between the coven in the show give it an extra layer of authenticity to those of us who have that experience.
Right.
Yes. So,
Well, and this is the thing. Like, I am a straight white man.
yeah,
And I have like, obviously I appreciated it. I enjoyed
right,
it. There's definitely always going to be an aspect, like you said. I have not lived those experiences. I have
right.
no idea about those experiences, but it's one of those things that just being aware and empathetic that you could
Correct.
at least,
Yes.
if you've lived a life of being aware and empathetic, that you could be a person who would, even if you didn't have that lived in experience, that it would still mean something.
Exactly.
And I think
I
that's where you have to come from that perspective. If you're a
right.
man who's just like, no, I'm a manly man and I won't buy a tampon for my wife or whatever, the weird shit like that is just like,
Then it's like, all right, cool. I mean,
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
same way. Yeah, I just had it hasn't come out yet, but I recorded about Captain America with Sam, and I
right,
said to him, I had to explain stuff about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and why part of why I loved that show so much was because I believe in the story that Malcolm Spellman is trying to tell.
yes,
I believe in the story that he told in that show and the story that I think he tried to say in that movie, but like five other writers and probably 1,000
yeah,
studio notes came in and Frankenstein that
muddled
movie
it,
from
yeah,
him. But I believe in the story he is trying to tell. I am not someone who has the lived in experience of being a black man growing up in America.
yeah,
Malcolm
absolutely,
Spellman has that experience. Anthony Mackie has that experience. And
right,
I believe in the story and the feeling that they are imparting to me with
exactly,
with the direction that they're taking with Sam Wilson and Captain America. You can be a man
right,
and believe in the story that Jack Schaefer and the cast of Agatha All Along is telling you. There
right.
is no barrier to that kind of
No,
empathy and understanding. It's just, I have to come in and yell about it when that's happening. So, I gave some examples after, the authenticity. I said to see the and I this is it is my favorite moment in the show, so that's why I bring it up all the time. To see the
right,
look on Jen's face when she was told they can take your power, but they can't take your knowledge. To fully understand why Lilia was ready to sacrifice herself for the coven, and to feel Billy's frustration in literally hearing William's parents' thoughts and knowing he needs to put on an act to survive with them now.
mhm, mhm,
These have all felt like authentic female and queer moments that resonate with me.
right,
So if you are not a queer kid who's trying to survive, if you're not a woman who has felt powerless because of the actions of a man, it's going to be harder for you to connect the dots. But if you are someone who has these lived in experiences,
oh,
it's
it's
going to
gonna
be a
hit
lot
so
easier.
much,
It's going to
yeah,
hit so much harder. And this show
yeah,
hits so hard.
oh yeah,
There's there are so many layers to using witches in storytelling, and this show is nailing it. The dismantling of internalized misogyny in order to form community has been present throughout the series as the women work through their justified mistrust of each other. And for me, those beats are working exceptionally well. Stepping away from a male gaze towards a female queer gaze allows the show to be viewed at its full power. So, welcome to me ranting. That was my rant. But that's where I think
yeah,
this show is so important. It never beats you over the head with it, but
no,
if you can recognize those experiences in this show, it's gonna hit you really hard.
hmm, yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I got most, if not all, of the deeper meanings because I'm aware.
Yeah.
I try to be as aware as possible. I may not get everything, obviously, but I think that, for the most part, I understood everything. And what I didn't, then I talked to you or other people about, and, whatever I was confused on or whatever, it was obviously I figured it out. Um, but I don't think there was ever an issue because you and I talked throughout
We did.
the stuff about this and really enjoyed. And that's what a lot of fun. And I was also doing episodes on Horrific Heroes with Steve Emerson, who is queer. So and so
Yeah.
it was. I don't think we really got into it too much though. Um, but yeah, it just specifically as a white man, as a white straight man in the
Mhm,
world and
mhm.
everything like that, definitely, when talking about this show, I think it's important to talk to women or queer people mostly rather than another straight white man who isn't going to have any of that perspective, who isn't going to
Right.
have that that ability to talk about the nuances that I'm just not capable of. The like you said, the lived in experiences that give you perspectives that I can't have. And so I think that was really important when talking about this show in any context with anybody, is that's who I wanted to talk to about it, rather than anybody else. um and I think that was what was most necessary for that, especially for my shows,
I
because
know.
that's specifically how my shows have always run. And
Yeah.
so,
It's very important to you, and I
yeah, yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Like when you and I were talking about it, it was like it was a given that you were going to be the guest of my show because we were already talking about it week to
Yeah, we
week
were
anyway.
already I'm already
So
yelling about it, so yeah.
well, and I think that's what's interesting too, is that you knew you could come to me and talk to me about it as well, and that we would have good conversations about it.
Yes.
And that, you, like, in a way, I'm a safe space, like, person to be able to go, okay, well, I know there's at least one dude out there who can, like, understand what I'm talking about. And
Yes.
and at least even if I don't understand it, then I'll just be like, okay, so what do you mean? So
So, yeah, can you talk me through this?
yeah, exactly. So, I'm not trying to toot my own horn at all. Like, please understand that, like, the audience is what I'm saying. Just that, I'm trying to, that's the thing. That's the reason why I highlight other voices more than other white men, is because that I don't have that perspective or knowledge. And I want to broaden my own perspective and knowledge by having other voices come in and talk to me about these things. And so that's what's great about a show like this and about having guests like I do. It's always great to get those perspectives when they come across. So, and that's what my show will always be about, because that's what I
Yay.
love. So it just makes it more fun and interesting anyway.
We always have fun.
Always, always,
We
always.
always have fun, even when I'm yapping, even when I'm up on my
Exactly.
soapbox.
Exactly. But yeah, no, this was such a fun series. And I think if anybody liked WandaVision and you haven't seen Agatha All Along, you owe it to yourself to go see it. It definitely is a great companion piece to that and to Multiverse of Madness in a lot of
Mhm.
ways as well. And I suggest you watch it if you haven't. And if you've gotten through this whole episode and you still haven't watched Agatha All Along before this, what are you doing? Go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, we gave the whole thing away,
I
so
know exactly. And we told you everything.
although
Um,
I will say there's a lot of nuance that we
oh,
didn't hit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We yeah. This was the broad strokes and then
Very
all
broad
the
strokes.
reasons why you definitely should watch it.
Exactly.
'Cause
So,
it's probably my favorite thing that the MCU did since Werewolf by Night, I think.
oh well. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved
Oh.
it. I loved every second of it. I've seen it 3 times.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it before this, but I did kind of rewatch it a little bit a while ago. Um,
Yeah.
I think I kind of rewatched when I watched it the first time. I kind of rewatched bits and pieces of it whenever I was doing my recap with
Yeah.
Horrific Heroes. So
Yeah, I'd watch them when they came out, and then the night before Halloween, I binged the whole thing, um, with my son and sister-in-law, which is why we had a very quick costume change
I
for
saw that.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was Wanda and my sister-in-law was Agatha, and he decided he wanted to be Billy, so we made him, like, a very quick, like, crown out of tinfoil and put
Right.
him in, like a gray sweatshirt and did his eye makeup, and we went out, like, basically as Agatha, Wanda, and Billy for Halloween. And then when my daughter was home for college, she and I binged the whole thing because she was away when we were watching it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and it works on rewatch. Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
yeah.
does it work on rewatch? Like, the way it's constructed, like, there's such a clear vision, all like, especially with Lilia, all of those little things that happen out of context, the way that that episode brings it all together, the way that the story brings it together at the end, it is so good. I love Jack Schaefer. I wanna kiss her on the mouth.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. Um, I appreciate you coming on to break this down with me. It was a lot of fun.
Always. Always so much fun, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, no, always great to have you on. It's always a fun time. And surprisingly, we didn't go off on too many tangents.
No, we were
So,
we were pretty organized.
yeah.
That
So,
was good.
especially for us.
Proud of
Uh,
us.
yeah. All right.
I don't know, have to ask Donna. Donna, how did we do?
Yeah, exactly
Too many
right.
tangents?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Perfect. Best place is my link tree, linktr.ee/violet.h.310. I am not sure when this is coming out. Right now, the top thing on there is, as I mentioned, the substance for Academy Watch,
Right.
where if you think I was a feminist here, just you wait. Um,
I can only imagine.
otherwise coming up, I got Real Talk with Sam for Captain America. I have what else did I do? Oh, I did another Academy Watch for Wicked with Bo. Spoiler alert, I don't like Wicked, so that I feel bad. That's its own thing. All of these shows are on the Film Stories podcast network, and links to everything is there. Eventually, at some point coming up soon, I'm co-hosting a Disney podcast with Jeff, also on Film Stories. So there's lots of things in the pipeline. We're gonna have to get you on there. You have to be on the Disney show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to find one of the because we're doing everything. We're doing every Disney movie, even like the weird like Disney Channel presentations from like the 60s and the 70s.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's gonna be some crazy stuff on there. I'll send you the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure I'll find something that'll be interesting-ish to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or
maybe the
like
black hole.
even if oh right. Oh, the black hole. I love that one when I was little. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yep, we're definitely
Escape to
doing
Witch
that.
Mountain.
Yep, that's definitely on there too.
Yeah. All right.
All of those.
I'll come on for something cool.
Yes. Ooh, get you Black Cauldron.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's plenty of stuff.
Something horror-ish.
So something a little scary.
Yeah.
Disney scary.
Mr. Boogity.
Oh god. But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
All right.
And I know I'm coming back here for some other stuff soon.
Yep, you will be back very shortly. We got you coming up in the next batch of episodes pretty quickly here. So, but yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on again, and we will see you next time.
Yay, see you
All
soon.
right.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.